Now, we know that President Trump is meeting with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas on May 3rd, coming up very soon in the U.S., and then potentially this visit to Israel. Do you think this will affect the trip to Israel at all in terms of his policies, in terms of the message we might be hearing from the Trump administration?
No, absolutely. It's impossible to separate the question of his meeting with President Abbas on the 3rd of May and a possible visit to Israel. Look, when foreign leaders come to Israel, they're not going in to soak up the sunlight. They're coming because they think there's a specific policy they want to achieve, okay? So it's rather odd that President Trump should be arranging a meeting in Israel when he doesn't know what the result of his meeting with President Abbas is going to be. It would appear to be he's coming to Israel for a follow-up visit of uncertain results. Now, what that suggests is that he might be using a threat of coming to visit Israel in order to exercise some leverage on President Abbas. If he knows that Abbas is coming to the White House and he tells him, if you don't give me what I want, I'm coming to Israel in the next few weeks and I'm going to meet with Israeli politicians and leave you out of the visit. As we heard, he might only come for one night. We don't know whether that will allow him to have time in Ramallah. This could all be an exercise to try to put pressure on President Abbas to take a few steps towards him.
Certainly, and potentially a very effective one. Now, speaking of Trump's visit, while we don't know the exact dates yet or if it will certainly happen, although it is looking that way, it's falling very close to Israel's Jerusalem Day celebrations, which this year marks 50 days since the reunification of the city during the 1967 Six-Day War. Do you think this sends a political message? While he won't be here on the actual day, it's very close. Do you think that sends any message toward Israel to the Palestinians?
Absolutely. The Trump administration is not blind to the significance of the date. As you said, 50 years since the Six-Day War, but also just a few days before President Trump is going to receive a waiver on his desk in the Oval Office, asking him whether he wants to postpone moving the American embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem or whether he's going to fulfill his campaign pledge. Okay, that timing is at the forefront of the planning for this trip. And what does that mean? It means that Trump wants everyone to think that he might be about to pull the trigger, so to speak, and to move the embassy to Jerusalem. He wants us to be thinking that that's a real viable option, possibly in order to exercise some sort of leverage on Mahmoud Abbas, because it would appear by all indications to be very reasonable and rational for him to use that occasion to make such an announcement.
Certainly. Well, something we'll have to wait and see, but as you said, a number of factors that are going into this. Now, we'll come back in just a minute.